Today's story is about a tiny sparrow who shows us that small actions can make a big difference. When a flood threatens her home, her courage and persistence inspire others to help. Together, they prove that even the smallest effort can lead to great change. Once upon a time in a quiet forest, there lived a little sparrow. She was small, but her heart was full of courage. She had a nest high up in a tree, nestled among the branches. The sparrow loved her home and spent her days flying through the forest, chirping songs and gathering food. One morning, as the sparrow flew out to search for food, she noticed something strange. The clouds in the sky were dark. The wind was strong. Something didn't feel right. She could feel the air getting heavier and heavier. The sparrow flew back to her nest, worried. When she got closer, she saw something that made her heart race. The river that ran near the forest was rising. The floodwaters were coming closer and closer to her tree. The sparrow knew that if the water reached her nest, it would be destroyed. But she didn't know what to do. After a moment of panic, the sparrow thought of a plan. She had seen pebbles by the riverbank, small round stones that could be used to build a barrier. It wasn't much, but maybe, just maybe, it could help protect her home. Without wasting any time, the sparrow flew to the river. She grabbed a small pebble in her beak and flew back to her nest. Then she dropped it at the base of the tree. She looked at the little pebble and thought it wasn't enough, but she knew she had to try. The sparrow quickly returned to the river and grabbed another pebble. She worked hard, carrying one pebble after another. Each time she returned, she would place the stone carefully, building a small mound around the base of the tree. It was tiring work, but she didn't stop. The flood was coming, and she had to do something. As the sparrow worked, a group of other birds flew by. They saw the little sparrow carrying pebbles and dropping them at the tree. The birds laughed and called out to her. "Why are you doing this?" One bird asked. "The flood is too big. Your little pebbles won't stop it." Another bird chirped. "You're wasting your time. There's no way you can stop the flood. Why don't you just fly away?" The sparrow felt their words sting, but she didn't stop. She just nodded and continued her work. She knew her efforts might seem small, but she believed they were worth it. As the sparrow kept working, other birds started to notice her persistence. They saw how hard she was trying, even though the task seemed impossible. One by one, the birds began to join in. First, a robin picked up a pebble. Then a pigeon joined, followed by a woodpecker and a crow. Soon, there were many birds working together. Each bird picked up a pebble and carried it to the tree. They worked together, building a stronger barrier around the base of the tree. The floodwater was rising, but the birds didn't stop. They kept working, one pebble at a time. By the time the water reached the forest, the barrier of pebbles was tall and strong. The floodwaters tried to push through, but they couldn't. The pebbles held. The sparrow's small efforts had made a big difference, and now, with the help of the other birds, they had created a safe place for everyone. When the storm passed and the waters finally began to recede, the sparrow and her new friends stood together, looking at the mound of pebbles. It wasn't a perfect wall, but it had saved their homes. The other birds turned to the sparrow and nodded in respect. "You were right," the robin said. "Your small actions made a big difference. We should have helped sooner." The sparrow smiled. "It wasn't just me," she said. "We all did it together." Small actions, when done with love and care, can grow into something much bigger. From that day on, the birds learned a valuable lesson. Even the smallest actions can have a huge impact. They saw that it was the steady, consistent effort that made the biggest difference. And so, they continued to help one another, no matter how small the task seemed. And the sparrow? She was proud, not because she had saved her nest, but because she had shown everyone that even the smallest efforts matter.